Rightio, it is chemistry time. So we've got a calculation question. And here it is. So when 50 grams of calcium carbonate is heated, it decomposes into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. And now you've got to do two things here, right? The first one being you've got to write a balanced equation for the reaction. And then number two, you've got to calculate the mass of calcium oxide that is formed. I've put in all the atomic masses that you might need. They're down there, so you can use them, as well as a couple of formulas which you may find handy. Okay, pause the video, have a go, and we'll catch up in a few seconds to go over the answer. Apples are so damn good. Right, time's up. Let's get going. Step number one then, what do we need to do? We need to find a balanced equation for this reaction. So we're starting with calcium carbonate, that's CaCO3, and that's a solid, right? And then what are we doing? We're heating it and it's decomposing. What's it decomposing into? It's decomposing into calcium oxide, which is CaO, that's also a solid, and carbon dioxide, that's CO2, and that's a gas. So there we go. Once you've written that out, you should always check, is it balanced, right? So go through there real quickly. We've got one Ca, one Ca. We've got a carbon and a carbon, so that's all good. And then 3 oxygens here, and then 1 here, and 2 here. 3 in total. Done. So this is all balanced. We're all happy. Now, part number 2 says to calculate the mass of calcium oxide formed. Well, we were given one piece of info at the top here, that 50 grams, which is super, super important. And now, what you should have realized is, one of these classic calculation questions where you've got mass, you're going to need to find moles, etc., right? You can set up a really easy table to solve all of these problems. And it goes like this. So watch. We have mass over here, mR/AR underneath it. And then we've got moles underneath that. And then ratio underneath that, right? So let's just quickly make some rows here. So like that. Like that, and like that, and one down the bottom. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Now what we're going to do is fill in the information that we were given. So we were given 50 grams was the calcium carbonate, right? So we can pop that in the mass bit underneath calcium carbonate. So there's 50 grams of that. Next thing, we can also work out its MR, right? Or AR, whichever you want to use really. I don't really mind. It should be MR technically because CaCO3, that there is a molecule. So you want to say that that's its molecular mass, or some people will call it relative formula mass. So to find the mass of that, what do we do? Well, we've got CaCO and 3. The mass of calcium is 40. The mass of carbon is 12. And then we've got 3 oxygens. So that's going to be 3 lots of 16, right? Using those numbers that I gave you. Add those all together. What have we got? We've got 40 plus 12 plus 3 times 16 is 48, so that in total is 100. Perfect. So MR, we can fill that in with 100. And now we need to use that formula over here. Look, moles is equal to mass divided by AR or MR, whichever, right? So all we've got to do is 50 divided by 100. So 50 divided by 100, 0.5. Okay, great, perfect. Now we come down to this bit, ratio. What the hell is ratio? Ratio looks at the numbers that are in front of each of our species in our reaction. So if you don't see any numbers, then what it means is that there is just like a 1 in front of all of these, right? So the ratio here is 1 to 1 to 1. What does this mean? Well, this means that if I've got 0.5 moles of calcium carbonate, I'm also going to get 0.5 moles of calcium oxide. So I can go and fill that in straight away. So that is also 0.5. Done. Now all I do is start working my way up the table, right? So what is the MR or AR of calcium oxide? Let's work that out as well. So let's grab this. Here we go. We've got calcium oxide. Calcium again is 40 and oxygen we said is 16. Add those together, we get 56. So we've got 56 over there. And then what do we need to do? Well, to find mass, you just got to rearrange that formula slightly. Hopefully you can see it's moles times by AR or mole times by MR. So we're going to have to do 56 times by 0.5. What's that going to give me? That there is 28 grams. Bam. Okay, so that's what we were looking for. And I hope you've got that. Perfect. So hopefully you've understood that. And if you didn't quite get the question, I hope you know now how you can solve problems like that. You can make that really nice, simple table and just follow it through all the way around, and it should work for every single one of those questions, okay? Perfect. So more calculations coming your way. Stay tuned. I'll catch you again very soon.